he hit the nail on the head as far as preparing for those bigger teams. Carroll has gotten to that point now where they are one of the big boys in Northeast Indiana for sure, now trying to constantly be one of the big boys statewide. With this new schedule opportunity, they can play teams like Center Grove. They can play teams like Hamilton Southeastern, Warren Central a year ago, and it's going to benefit them and really benefit all the SAC schools, those opportunities, and other schools and other conferences in our area. I mean, we got East Noble and Snyder week 2. That'll be a fun, just off the top of my head. So I think this is where Carroll starts to take that next step. The recruits that they have for college, the players that they've had, the system of development that they have all the way through the youth football. And this is where, you want to see a program compete at a high level, especially one of the bigger schools in the state of Indiana.
Well, Doug and his staff have done a phenomenal job since he came on the scene. Now, I can't even count that far back anymore, but ever since he took that job, coming away from Snyder High School as the offensive coordinator, his vision was that he was going to take Carroll to be that next, Snyder-like football club. And he's done that, in some ways surpassed it. And, their entire staff does a great job in teaching fundamental football. And, when you see them line up, that they're coached because their kids are in the spots they're supposed to be and know what they're doing each and every week. So what they've done with that program out there has been a great thing to watch, I guess you could say, from my perspective, in terms of what Doug and his staff have done. And of course, Doug's a really good football coach as well, good offensive mind. And of course, last year of having a quarterback like Jimmy Sullivan, now you've had somebody at the helm for 3 years. It's kind of bittersweet. You've had this kid for, like I said, the last 3 seasons, and you sleep better at night knowing that Jimmy's taking the snaps, and you've got a few more weeks of that before you have to get some more Tums off the countertop for next season, and knowing you got to work a new one in there. But and they're going to be tested Friday night. Hamilton Southeastern is a team that's very similar to Carroll in a lot of respects. They got a lot of kids that are very good football players. They've got some kids that have got some major Division I offers, as well as kids that have Mid-American Conference type offers. So we're going to see a darn good game Friday night, week 1. And that's the thing that he was talking about. You got to come ready each and every week to play with the schedule they have, because ultimately they want to get to Indianapolis at the end of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. Hamilton Southeastern finished 9-3 a year ago, and for them, made it to the regionals. They won the sectional championship. They played in that sectional. They played Northrop in the first round, which is actually a semifinal, and then Fishers in the sectional championship. And like we mentioned, these two teams played in semi-state 2 years ago, with Carroll winning out. I think 1380 was out at that game, the snowy game.
It was cold. I remember that.
Yeah, and so a lot of those kids still playing today. Hamilton Southeastern's got a great quarterback, and Chandler. Let me pull it up here. I got his graphic here.
Weston is the quarterback who 18 touchdowns a year ago, and
same, similar statistics even to Jimmy Sullivan. So a lot of playmakers. Look at that too. I noted that this is according to his formerly Twitter page, 22.86 miles per hour top speed. So those of you in the radio booth or on the sideline on Friday night, you might have to. I mean, that's incredibly fast. So should be a fun game with a lot of great players. But kicking it off, and of course, like we mentioned, Coach, it'll be our 1380 game of the week for this coming week in week 1, and we'll be out there at the stadium. Jim Shovelin and you and myself with the PSM High School Football Tailgate pregame show at 6. The kickoff is at 7:30, so we will have an extended pregame show, and then kickoff at 7:30. The postgame will be at the Pine Valley Pizza Hut. Crazy to think it's already here, but great facilities out there, and that's probably attracting too, Coach, to some of those other schools in the Indy area, because Carroll has wonderful facilities, relatively new, and that program, it's crazy to see how much that has grown.
Mhm.
Talked about it, I think 2 years ago or a year ago with Coach Dinan. About 160 guys in the program. I mean, for a Carroll team, I know people who went to Carroll who, back 30 years ago, 20 years ago, when it was more of a seen as a county country,
Mhm.
so to speak, not well attended. They've really turned that tide around, and it is really firing all cylinders. And so it should be a fun game on Friday, and it's always fun to see what becomes of the Carroll program. They got the new video board out there too, Coach.
Yeah.
We'll check that
Well,
out.
they've done, like I said, they've done wonders at Carroll. I mean, Carroll and Homestead were rural schools but about 20, 30 years ago. And both of them now are one of the top enrollment schools within the Fort Wayne area here over the last probably 10 years. And they're both growing and they're building. And, they've done a great job with the football facility. But I've seen that being a pretty good importance now with the Fort Wayne Community Schools now, as well as North Side, South Side, now both have artificial surface, as does Wayne.
Yeah.
And that in itself is a monumental step forward that the Fort Wayne Community Schools have done. It goes to the overall making sure that kids are playing on a safe surface, that they're playing with the best surface, and ultimately they're trying to keep kids involved in the programs, and doing this helps do that. When you put out something brand new, kids love it, as do the coaches, as do mom and dad. So it'll be a great thing to see with only I think Bishop Luers is the only team now in the Summit Athletic Conference that plays on grass. I think everyone else is a turf field.
Yeah.